Imagine waking up in the morning, reaching over to silence the alarm clock, and feeling that familiar ache deep in your hands or knees. It's more than just stiffness. It's a reminder that arthritis is quietly shaping how you move through the day. For some, the pain is like a dull, heavy rain cloud that never fully passes. For others, it comes in sharp flashes that make the simplest joys, gardening, cooking, even hugging a grandchild, feel out of reach. But what if I told you that hidden in the spice jars of your kitchen and in the herbal traditions passed down for centuries, there are natural allies that can help calm that storm inside your joints? I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Today we'll explore 5 powerful herbs and spices that science is beginning to confirm can ease arthritis pain and inflammation, offering relief without harsh side effects. I remember a patient of mine, Margaret, who came to me one afternoon with tears in her eyes. She was 68, a retired teacher, and arthritis had begun stealing away the things she loved most. Kneeling in her garden, sewing for her grandchildren, even walking through her local farmer's market. Pain medications helped, but they upset her stomach and left her worried about long-term side effects. One day, her neighbor suggested turmeric. Margaret had used it in curries before, but never thought of it as medicine. Within a few months of regularly sipping golden milk at night and taking a high-quality supplement with black pepper, she told me something remarkable. Dr. Brian, I feel like my joints are slowly waking up from a long, painful sleep. Turmeric is more than just the golden spice that stains your cutting board. At its heart lies a compound called curcumin, which works like a gentle firefighter inside the body, cooling down the flames of inflammation. To make sense of how it works, think of inflammation like a neighborhood alarm system that won't stop ringing even when the danger's gone. Curcumin helps reset that alarm, calming the overactive signals that trigger swelling and pain in the joints. What's fascinating is that modern science backs this up. In a study published in the journal Phytotherapy Research, curcumin was shown to be just as effective as certain non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs in reducing arthritis pain, without the same risk of ulcers or stomach irritation. For people like Margaret, that meant hope, a natural path to joint pain relief that didn't carry the heavy baggage of side effects. Using turmeric doesn't have to be complicated. You can add a teaspoon to soups, sprinkle it on roasted vegetables, or blend it into a smoothie. But for those who want a more concentrated effect, supplements are often the most reliable option. The trick is pairing it with black pepper, which contains piperine, a compound that acts like a key, unlocking curcumin's absorption in the body. Without it, most of the turmeric you swallow just passes through uninvited. I often remind patients that turmeric is not a quick fix. It's more like planting seeds in the soil. You water them daily, and over time the garden begins to bloom. Consistency is everything. And because turmeric is generally well tolerated, it's something you can weave into your routine for the long haul. Some even find relief using turmeric creams directly on sore joints, letting the anti-inflammatory compounds sink in where the pain lives. Margaret is back in her garden these days, kneeling in the soil with a cushion under her knees, smiling as she pulls up weeds and plants new roses. I still have arthritis, she tells me honestly, but I feel like I'm back in the conversation with my own body, instead of being silenced by the pain. For her, turmeric wasn't a miracle cure. It was a gentle companion that gave her back her sense of control. That is the gift of this golden spice, not a promise of perfection, but the possibility of reclaiming small joys step by step. Years ago, I treated a man named David, a 72-year-old carpenter who had built half the furniture in his neighborhood. His hands, once steady and strong, had grown stiff and swollen from arthritis. He told me the cruelest part wasn't the pain itself, but the way it robbed him of identity. I'm a craftsman, Dr. Brian. If I can't grip my tools, who am I? He had tried prescription medications, but the side effects wore him down. What surprised him most was the relief he eventually found in something as simple and humble as ginger tea. He began each morning steeping fresh ginger slices in boiling water, the steam filling his kitchen with warmth. Slowly he felt his hands loosen, and with time he could hold his hammer again, if only for shorter stretches. Ginger may seem ordinary, but it holds within it a powerful natural compound called gingerol. If inflammation in your joints is like traffic gridlock on a busy highway, gingerol is the traffic officer, gently waving the cars through so everything can flow again. It reduces the production of prostaglandins, those tiny chemical messengers that scream pain and swelling even when the crisis is over. By calming those signals, ginger helps restore a sense of order to the body's internal streets. Modern research confirms what traditional healers have known for centuries. A clinical trial published in Arthritis and Rheumatism showed that patients with osteoarthritis who took ginger extract experienced significant reductions in knee pain compared to those on placebo. What struck me most about that study was not just the numbers, but the possibility it offered. That a root you can buy at any market could rival pharmaceutical drugs in bringing relief. Ginger can be woven into life in countless ways. Fresh ginger grated into a stir-fry adds both flavor and healing. Powdered ginger in a smoothie can brighten the taste and support the joints. For those seeking a concentrated dose, ginger supplements are widely available. And for targeted relief, ginger oils or creams massaged into sore knees or hands can bring a soothing warmth that feels almost like a gentle embrace from the inside out. Of course, I caution patients to remember that natural doesn't mean risk-free. For those on blood thinners, ginger can sometimes amplify the effects, so it's always best to talk with a healthcare provider before making it a daily habit. But for the majority, ginger is remarkably safe and gentle, a friend to both the stomach and the joints. When I see David these days, he's often carrying a small wooden box he made with his own hands. It's not perfect. The edges are rougher than they once would have been, but he beams with pride. I may not build as fast as before, he says, but at least I can still create. For him, ginger didn't erase the years of wear and tear, but it gave him back the dignity of craftsmanship. That's the quiet power of ginger. It doesn't just soothe pain, it helps restore the rhythms of a life worth living. When most people hear the word frankincense, they think of ancient rituals or the gifts brought by wise men in a manger story. But behind the poetic imagery lies Boswellia, a resin tapped from trees that grow in parts of India and Africa. And for people living with arthritis, this ancient remedy can feel like a whisper from history offering new hope. I once worked with a woman named Carol, age 65, who had lived with rheumatoid arthritis for over 2 decades. She had tried almost every prescription available, and while some helped temporarily, she always felt she was borrowing relief on credit, trading pain reduction for side effects that piled up in her body. A friend gave her a bottle of Boswellia capsules, and she approached me hesitantly. "Dr. Brian, is this just another false promise?" I explained the science to her gently, how Boswellia contains special compounds called boswellic acids, which block inflammatory enzymes in the body. Imagine arthritis as a fire that keeps relighting itself because someone is constantly striking matches. Boswellia steps in like a watchful guardian, taking away the matches before the flames can catch. What makes this resin fascinating is its dual action. Not only does it reduce inflammation and pain, but some studies suggest it helps protect the cartilage itself, the cushion between your bones that arthritis slowly erodes. In one clinical trial published in the journal Arthritis Research and Therapy, patients with osteoarthritis who took Boswellia reported improved mobility and less pain within just a few weeks. For Carol, this meant she could once again walk her dog without the dread of searing knee pain. Using Boswellia can be straightforward. Most people take it in capsule or extract form, though creams infused with the resin are becoming more common for localized relief. I often remind my patients that while Boswellia is gentle, it is also potent, and consistency is the key. It doesn't silence the arthritis overnight. It's more like a steady hand that helps calm the storm over time. Some find even greater benefit when they pair Boswellia with turmeric or ginger, creating a natural symphony of anti-inflammatory allies. Carol began her journey cautiously, taking the capsules daily and keeping a journal of her symptoms. After 2 months, she showed me something remarkable. Entries that once read, "Pain unbearable today," were replaced with "Walked half a mile with the dog," and managed to kneel in the garden for a few minutes. Her eyes filled with tears as she told me, "I don't feel cured, but I feel human again." That's the kind of transformation Boswellia can offer. Not perfection, but restoration of dignity and daily joy. There is a lesson in this resin that has traveled through centuries. Sometimes the answers we seek for modern problems have been growing quietly on ancient trees all along. Boswellia is not a miracle, but it is a bridge, one that helps many people cross from helplessness into hope, one careful step at a time. Long before the aisles of pharmacies were lined with bottles of aspirin, people turned to the bark of the willow tree for relief. It was stripped, brewed into teas, or chewed directly, and for centuries it carried the nickname nature's aspirin. What many didn't know then, and what science later discovered, is that willow bark contains salicin, a natural compound that the body transforms into a substance remarkably similar to aspirin itself. And for those living with arthritis, this ancient bark can still offer comfort where modern medicines sometimes feel too harsh. One of my patients, Helen, age 70, came to me frustrated by the roller coaster of pain medications. She'd been given prescriptions that dulled her arthritis pain, but they left her stomach in knots. "It feels like I have to choose," she sighed, "between walking without pain and eating without misery." I suggested she explore willow bark tea as a gentle alternative, carefully supervised, of course. A month later, she returned, her face brighter. "It's not perfect, Dr. Bryan, but I can walk to my book club again, and I'm not doubled over with stomach pain." That quiet sense of freedom meant everything to her. Willow bark works by slowing down the body's production of prostaglandins, those chemical messengers that fuel swelling, stiffness, and pain in the joints. Think of prostaglandins like a faulty smoke detector that goes off at the smallest wisp of steam, leaving you agitated and tense. Willow bark helps reset that detector so it only sounds the alarm when it's truly needed. For someone with arthritis, that means fewer false alarms and less background noise of pain. There's solid research to support its use. A review in Phytomedicine highlighted willow bark's effectiveness in reducing lower back and joint pain, especially in people with osteoarthritis. The beauty is that, unlike synthetic aspirin, willow bark is less likely to irritate the stomach lining, though it still requires caution for anyone sensitive to salicylates or those taking blood-thinning medications. Willow bark can be enjoyed as a soothing tea, the earthy flavor carrying with it centuries of tradition. For those who prefer precision, capsules and tinctures provide a measured dose. Creams and gels made from willow bark extract can be massaged into sore joints, offering targeted relief without burdening the rest of the body. When I think of Helen now, I picture her walking briskly into her book club meetings, her cane tapping lightly on the sidewalk, her eyes shining with the joy of connection. The bark of a tree gave her back something no pill alone could offer, the confidence to rejoin her community without fear of pain or discomfort. There's a quiet poetry in that, isn't there? A tree rooted deep in the earth, passing its strength into bark that becomes medicine for our own roots, our joints, our foundation. Willow bark reminds us that healing often comes from the most humble, grounded places. The first time I suggested cayenne pepper as part of a pain relief plan, I remember the startled laugh of my patient, Robert, a 66-year-old former firefighter. "Doc, you're telling me something that burns my tongue could actually calm my knees?" he asked, half skeptical, half amused. But within weeks of trying a capsaicin cream made from cayenne pepper, Robert's skepticism gave way to relief. "It stings a little at first," he admitted, "but then it feels like the pain just steps back, like it's finally giving me some room to breathe." That stinging warmth comes from capsaicin, the fiery compound inside cayenne peppers. Inside the body, pain is often carried like messages in a bottle, passed along by a chemical called substance P. In arthritis, that messenger never seems to rest, delivering constant bad news to the brain. Capsaicin works almost like cutting off the ink supply. Without substance P, fewer pain messages get through. What's left is not numbness, but a quieter, less demanding kind of discomfort that many people can finally live with. When applied topically, capsaicin creams create a gentle heat that sinks into aching joints. Think of it as a small campfire built just beneath the skin, warming stiff muscles and coaxing circulation into areas that feel frozen. Over time, this repeated warming helps retrain the nerves, teaching them to stop overreacting to every signal of pain. Scientific studies reinforce these observations. The British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology published research showing that capsaicin cream significantly reduced osteoarthritis pain in the hands and knees after several weeks of use. For people like Robert, that meant trading the dread of each step for the simple pleasure of walking to his mailbox without wincing. Cayenne pepper can also be enjoyed in food, sprinkled into soups or added to roasted vegetables, bringing not just flavor, but an inner warmth that supports circulation and reduces inflammation. For those who prefer a measured approach, capsaicin supplements are available, though I always encourage starting with small amounts to gauge tolerance. Of course, this fiery friend must be approached with respect. On sensitive skin, capsaicin can cause burning or irritation, and it's wise to do a patch test before regular use. But when used wisely, it becomes a partner in pain management, one that is both humbling and empowering. I'll never forget Robert telling me, months later, that he had returned to coaching his grandson's Little League team. "The kids think I'm tough because I use hot pepper on my knees," he laughed. "But really, it's just helping me feel like myself again." That's the gift of cayenne pepper, turning fire into comfort, transforming sharp heat into a pathway toward freedom from joint pain. We've walked together through the world of turmeric, ginger, boswellia, willow bark, and cayenne pepper. 5 gifts from nature with the power to quiet inflammation, soothe stiff joints, and restore a measure of freedom to daily life. Each one works in its own way. Some calm the storm of swelling, some block the messengers of pain, and others warm and protect the joints that carry us through our days. But what unites them all is their promise: safer, gentler pathways toward arthritis pain relief, rooted in both tradition and science. If you live with arthritis, I want you to remember this. Your story is not defined by pain. Your body, even now, has remarkable potential for healing, and these herbs and spices can be part of that journey. Always speak with your healthcare provider, but never lose hope. I'm Dr. Brian, and this is Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Stay encouraged, stay curious, and keep moving forward.